So I've parked very close to a feature that I don't care where I am in the United States, and I mean to fish the next day. I will get myself as close as possible to this particular river feature so I can fish it first thing in the morning. And I feel very hypocritical telling you to go fish this, because in the same breath I'm going to tell you don't fish this. This river feature can kill you. It is a low head dam. Alright, I'm loaded up. I got a several mile run up to the dam. Once I'm up there, if I fall in and get caught in the death machine, this thing won't save me. It's a mixture of air and water in which the buoyancy effect of a life jacket, it only does, I don't know, a quarter of its job because there's so much air incorporated into it. Couple that with the cyclical nature of the hydraulic below the low head dam. We'll get into more of that later. So today I'm in Pennsylvania, a state that I know of already has one kayak angler death this year from low head dams. So why would I be heading up to put myself in harm's way? Well, this is unfamiliar water to me. I've never been on this, this section of river, and I don't have that much time, but I want to go to where I know there's a concentration of big fish. The dams are it. Their dams are always it. They're just a concentrator of big fish. It's a low head dam is where I've caught my personal best 6-pound, 10-ounce river smallmouth. And it's just a feeding station. It's a place where you're always going to find actively feeding fish. It's well oxygenated in the summer. There's a lot of forage that's mixed up in there. And I feel somewhat guilty for telling you this secret because it can put you in harm's way. I'm going to go over a couple things that are going to keep you out of harm's way when you're there as much as possible. But I'm also telling you, don't fish low head dams. They can kill you. In the next breath, I'll tell you, go fish low head dams. They're loaded with big fish. So I'm on my way. I stopped short to fish this because this kind of pinch point in the river at the head of this island is the first example where I'm seeing current features. It's been, predominantly a very low current type wide, fairly deep situation, but right up here at the top of this grass bed I am seeing a current seam for the first time, and that looks good to me. I get up to that dam. It's coming. It's not too far. This is worth stopping and fishing first. I'm close to the dam. I can see it up there. I got the first hit. A little one fish at that spot. This one's a little bit bigger, not much. Decent. Oh, sorry, I hurt you on the side. Bye-bye. So I'm really just traveling to a spot and chucking at stuff that I see along the way. In this open water, I mean, I'm kind of out in the middle, but I am seeing little current breaks here and there. I'm also seeing boils, like out over deeper water, that really designate, and this is one right here, that there was a ledge there that fish was on. Reading the surface for boils. It's working because the wind isn't up real bad. If the wind is up a lot, it's really, really difficult to do. But if you can find those, in these big open areas, you find those boils, they tell you something about what's down underneath. And structures, like ledges or isolated boulders, for sure hold a lot of fish. So I'm fishing this Whopper Plopper 110 on straight braid. It's 50-pound braid, and the rod is a custom one, but it's moderate action, which helps keep those treble hooks buttoned a little bit better. It's heavy power. The moderate action really helps it launch a bait like that a long way. It also keeps them buttoned a little bit better. So I love moderate action. A Shakespeare Ugly Stick is a moderate action, but it's fiberglass, and you're not going to feel much on what's going on out there. This St. Croix SC4, it's actually a Legend Tournament blank. It's a bait caster blank. It was the Magnum Cranker. I got the blanks, and I had Jim Dutt from Smalley Sticks. He built this rod as a spinning rod for me. I use it for obviously the river smallmouth, anything with a treble hook that I'm launching a long way, especially in summer. It's also a great striped bass. It does double duty, and even on this trip up, I'm going to go up into Canada, but I may swing through New England on the way back. And this rod catching some smallmouth out here in Pennsylvania, but it'll probably catch a stripe or two on the way back. A couple grass beds up here look like fun. I think they're just a ledge feature that's come up all the way out of the water that grass has started to grow on. We got current seams on all corners, so 4 current seams to work as I zoom up through here. That one's pretty decent. Loosen that drag some. That was on the Whopper Plopper, and he was behind this grass bed here. I've seen him jump once. He's a good size fish. Not a giant. He's a good fish though. More bridge piling fun. Ooh, yeah. That one was right on the corner. On that upstream side, never overlook the bridge piling. Yeah, see that. Early release, I'm good with that. You get your money. So, I like a very large footprint boat. And this Jackson Kayak Take 2 certainly is that. And the reason is, people think, oh, you can carry more gear. No. I mean, you can, yes, but it has more to do with shallow draft than anything. Bigger the footprint with the same amount of weight. Now, obviously, a bigger footprint boat is going to weigh more, but it's not a one-to-one relationship with how shallow you can go with that boat. It's an advantage to be able to have that bigger footprint and go lightweight, because you get through stuff like that without having to hop out and and drag over. That being said, I got a spot up here that I will have to hop out and drag over, and that's fine. Something happening with a jackhammer here. Alright, fishy. Oh, yeah, you're gonna let yourself out easy. That's cool. There you go. See, a little bit of white water here, grass bed on the other side. I'm as far up as I can get without really using the motor to punch up through there, which I don't know that that's going to be what I do. I'll probably drag up somewhere to get up to the dam. But I've worked all of the water coming through this set of grass islands and what I think is the remnants of an old dam, bridge, or lock system, something there. And caught a couple fish, had a couple big bites that I didn't land. But the most upstream that you can easily go in a pool is always, like, the heads of the pools is always the feeding station. I consider the dam pool its own pool, because I don't think they move that easily from up there to down here and back. I don't think it's just a totally easy transition. I think it is at higher water, but at this level, there's not easy movement back and forth between. So, you know, this the top end of this is good water for sure. All right, it's time to get up there. Let's zoom. Always point your rod tips back. The rest of them are good. But those two that I had forward, you got to point them back, otherwise something out here, some part of this river, is gonna bust your tips. I'm gonna fish from this little island for a little while, and then we're gonna discuss the physics of why low-head dams are fatal every year. And I'm sure the people who they kill never thought, hey, this is the day I die. I got my motor down, but I still keep the paddle in my lap. That's because if the wind is pushing me towards it, I want to make sure that I can back up and get away from that hydraulic. But that's not really where I'm started. What I'm going to start with is fishing the grass edge of this island with top water. Got one. Oh, it's off. He wasn't real big. All right, so here's why low head dams are death machines. And then we'll talk a little bit why they're fish magnets as well. But the reason I've decided to go ahead and film this and talk about how great the fishing is here, but how it can also end your life, I struggled with it. I didn't want to show this sort of feature on a river as, wow, this is the best place you can fish on a river because everyone's going to come to it. Well, the fact of the matter is, not teaching this is sort of like teaching abstinence. People are going to see this and say, yeah, they're going to figure it out. And what I want to say is, You shouldn't fish it. There's almost always signage that says stay back, don't get within a certain distance, and you need to heed those, but I know better because I've gotten closer and I've actually gotten ticketed for getting too close to one. But the most important rule is, beyond don't fish it, if you hang up in there, don't get anywhere near it. Understand that, and I'm going to fish something that's very valuable to me, is these crayfish crankbaits that I make, or that I rehab. This thing right here, I can't get these anymore. They're really valuable. It's a live target crayfish crankbait, and I repaint them, and I only have so many left. Most of the ones I've lost have been not here. I've never been here before, but to a Lowhead Dam where I just said, it's snagged, I don't want to get anywhere near it, I'm staying back, I'm going to grab my spool and break it off. No lure is worth your life. I'll get into the mechanics of how I do fish it in a moment, but what I do want to do is grab the Sharpie here and some paper and illustrate hydraulics, what they are, how they basically make your life jacket ineffective at popping you to the surface. And I'll say what the whitewater guys teach, but it's totally counterintuitive, and that is to not swim up towards the daylight, but to swim down to the bottom and crawl out the bottom. I hope to never be in that situation, and I stay back enough that I can cast to it. I can get a full cast out and just touch that whitewater, but that's as close as I get. So that's how you're supposed to get out of it, because it'll hold you and your boat in there cyclically. Let's get the Sharpie on the paper and go over what it looks like in a cross section illustration. All right, got my clipboard, my Sharpie, and some paper here. I'll go ahead and show you. Death machine. All right. Here's the top of the pool. Here's the deep water above it, and then here's the dam structure itself. It comes down and it goes something like this on the bottom. What it looks like on top is, here's the surface of the water. Okay, the water pours over, and it comes down, and it does a cyclical, and at different levels, this circle of cyclical water is bigger or smaller based on how much water is coming over. It scours out what's at the bottom here, and sometimes you have snaggy things like logs and stuff at the bottom, but on a day like today, it's just going to be a little bit up here. With higher flow, it's going to get bigger. With flood conditions, it's going to scour it out, and this is going to be, all boiling up here. What happens, though, is there's actually an uphill and then a downhill of this bump, whatever this cyclical bulge of water is here. Okay? Let me zoom in on that just a little bit more. So what happens is, if you're back here in your kayak, right, and you cast in here and you snag and you're like, yeah, I think I can get it, and you get up here in this area, you're like, ooh, it's right there, I can get it if I'm just a little bit closer. You get to this position and it starts pulling you downhill. Once you get to this, it flips you and you become incorporated into it. Now, a lot of people get incorporated into the hydraulic by accidentally not looking at the marker buoys and going over, right? This happens a lot in the spring, and it'll hold a boat, a log, a human, whatever it is in there, because there's a cycling of water. As soon as you think, oh, I'm almost to the surface, it pulls you back because of that cyclical current. It pulls you back down. You didn't get a breath, and you do that 2 or 3 times, and you're exhausted, and you're trying to, you're here, you're trying to swim to the surface, and all of this downward force of this cyclical current is holding you down. Maybe the only way you get out of it, if you become incorporated into it, is to not swim for the light, but to get down to the bottom, hold on to what you can, and just, claw your way across the bottom out this way, and then escape that way. I don't want to have to try and remember that. I just want to avoid getting in there altogether. Now, the smartest way is to just not fish these, but I know better. I know kayak anglers, they're going to find the fish. They're going to get into places that other boats can't. They're going to push the envelope and think, it won't happen to me. Well, it did happen to a young kayak angler earlier this year in eastern Pennsylvania. He got caught up in a hydraulic in his kayak, and he drowned. It killed him. So these low head dams, there's a lot of push to remove them and restore them to regular, regular stream flow, where you have some more variation. These hydraulics aren't as common, but if you're gonna fish them, and probably you should, probably I should, if you're gonna do it, don't get any closer than a full cast into the whitewater. Once you get closer, this downhill kind of bulge can suck you in. Wind can push you in. And you're gonna have to be on the pedals, on the paddle or pedals or whatever you got to keep yourself back. Constantly back pedal to say, stay back, stay back. You don't want to be any closer than one cast if you're gonna fish it. So that's what I'm gonna do here today. It's probably pretty stupid, but I want to catch fish here, and I know that I feel confident that I can stay a cast back. If I hang up, I'm breaking off. No lure is worth your life. I think that's all I got on the death machine that I'm going to go fish right now. All right, I'm going to turn the corner. I'm going to put this away. And I'm gonna bring something forward that just a bait that's less likely to get snagged in the whitewater. It's a spinnerbait. I got a Pro Assassinator Clacker spinnerbait here. I'm staying back as far as I can. So I put that right in the whitewater, bring it out. Alright, no takers on the spinnerbait. I start with the spinnerbait because it's the least snaggy power fishing presentation I could have. So I'm going to stay back and throw a soft plastic up in there, see if I can get something on this current seam right here. It looks right. Looks like it should hold a couple. So I just cast it into a log at the base of that. I'm going to remember where that log is because my crankbait is on it. And this sucks. I don't want to lose that crankbait. I also don't want to lose my life. Oh, I was trying to break it off, but I actually got it back. So it hung on something. But somehow I got that one back. I'll just avoid that spot. There we go. Alright, this death machine proved to not quite be the fish net magnet for me today. I know I've seen a lot of folks bank fishing, and I've seen some fish go out on stringers. Pretty much everything's being measured to see, hey, is it big enough to keep? And I think that's mostly what I've caught are those, and I don't know what the limit is here, but you know, there's a lot of sustenance fishing going on here. I can only imagine how good this would be if it was down in the catch and release section. I had better luck further down, that, you know, sections that were a little bit less accessible from the bank. So I'm gonna head back down that way. I'm running low on time anyway, so I'm gonna float back down through here, see if I can get a few more. They're not that big. They fight like they are. You know, it's nice, respectable, what, 14 and a half incher. If he was up there, he'd be on someone's stringer. You glad it's me? Yeah. Right on the bank. I don't even think I got the got the propeller turning. These are fun. These are not 18s, 19s, and 20s that we get further downstream, but they are fun. Respectable. Even getting the rock bass in on some action. Okay. Sun's come out. Top water's still going on. Got to move to the shade. Got these little rock piles every, I don't know, 50 yards or so. They're fairly regular. I don't know whether they're part of some lock system or what, but got a couple of them off of them, including this one. This one's actually a little bit better than most that I've found here. It's probably my biggest for the day. Very consistent. Yeah, not bad. See you guys. Yeah, every one of these rock piles has a point. It reminds me a lot of every time you have a tributary, like a creek come in, there'd be a rock pile like that. But these are, I don't know, they almost look man-made. Alright, that was a fun morning out here on the West Branch, Susquehanna. This is upstream from where I usually fish the river, and I will say that it makes me appreciate that the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission decided to make the section that I usually fish catch and release only. It shows. It shows when you can, you know, you can go to some high percentage places where there should be some big fish and just not find them. Is it because I suck as a fisherman? Maybe I did today. I don't think so though. Caught a lot of fish. It's healthy. Caught rock bass, saw other panfish. It's a healthy situation going on up here, but you don't have the size structure that you do where it's mandatory to put those fish back. So I appreciate that there's some really trophy fishery management things going on by the Fish and Boat Commission between Sunbury and Harrisburg. Makes for really excellent fishing down there. I think there for sure are some big fish around here. I just didn't find them today. But I did look at that Lowhead Dam as an opportunity to really teach something that, you know, hey, here's a place that usually holds a lot of fish, but isn't safe. It's something that kills people every year. So do be careful around those Lowhead dams. Stay back. If you snag up in that white water, just break it off. No fishing lure is worth your life. See ya.